we talk about Geely, some may not know about it, which isn't that big of a deal. The problem is those who know about Geely. Now personally, I wasn't a big fan of Chinese manufacturers, but with Geely now owning Lotus and Volvo, I'm curious to see who's behind these European manufacturers and see if they're actually including this technology into their own cars. In this video, I'll be introducing the brand and its luxury SUV to those unfamiliar with it and proving to others that the Chinese are better than you might think. What is up, you guys? Master Car Zero here, and today we've got the 2018 Geely Emgrand X7 Sport. The Geely Emgrand X7 Sport in today's review is optioned with the Luxury Plus trim featuring high-tech options. Now our X7 comes standard with keyless entry, so I have the key in my pocket. Just sliding my hand in will unlock the car. The X7 comes only with high-quality Nappa leather seats with brushed aluminum trim to complement the inside. Starting price for the Lebanese market is just under $30,000. Now getting in the new Geely. Now first impressions, it's your typical modern day SUV with all the bits and pieces you need. You get an 8-inch touchscreen on the center and a 7-inch instrument display. And the cabin is very well done. I mean, everything is right where you want it to be. And honestly, forgetting it's a Chinese car, it's actually a very nice place to be and somewhat better than most of its rivals in the Korean and the Japanese market. Now I wish they used a different type of leather for the steering wheel. I mean, you've got the difference between the Nappa leather that you've got on the seats and the steering wheel, which feels kind of worn out even though this is basically a new car. Now the seats are very comfortable and you have a relatively high driving position. And I gotta say about the layout right here, it's very wide. I mean, from here to the end of the car, you've got endless space, and right here on the dashboard, it's a very wide interior. And also bits and pieces that I like, you've got on the door says the Geely naming, which is nice to have, and you've got the gear knob with the stitchings, the same that you get on the steering wheel. So you've got some details that are really nice to have, and others you wish they weren't here. So coming on to the steering wheel, it's a 4-spoke multifunction leather wrap steering wheel, which is flat bottomed. You've got aluminum right here, which is really nice. You've got controls for the screen display in front, and of course to raise the volume of the screen on the right. Now there's a difference, like for example the seats, the leather you've got on the seats and the leather that they use on the steering wheel. There's nice stitchings, but again they feel kinda used, even though the car has only 18,000 kilometers on the clock. And then coming on to the instrument panel, you've got the 7-inch display, which is of high resolution, and you've got a lot of info written on it. Like for example, you've got the pressure in the tires and the temperature and all of that. And then on the left, you've got your light commands with the wiper commands on the right. We've got rain sensing wipers on our X7 Sport. The 7-inch digital instrument panel consists of a round speedometer in the center with fuel and temperature gauges on each side. The display changes based on driving mode, and you can view several information using the trip button. Now let's turn the car on and see how it sounds. As you can see, it's kind of a slow engine, takes time to build up revs. The X7 Emgrand packs under the hood a 2.4 liter inline-4 engine kicking out 150 horsepower and 225 Nm of torque. The engine is mated to a 6-speed Tiptronic transmission. The Emgrand X7 can be optioned with either a two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive configuration. If you go for the latter, you will have four-wheel drive lock for purposeful driving. You also get hill descent assist, which works perfectly as you'll see in our test drive. The SUV also comes standard with many safety features such as ABS, EBD and ESC. And coming on to the center of the dashboard right here, you've got two air vents with the hazards and the display for the passenger airbag. And I'm a big fan of the materials that they have right here, the brushed aluminum. Now it's kind of plastic, you would expect that, but it gives it a nice touch. It goes along with the door handles, which by the way look really good. It's different. It goes through the trim. Okay, so coming on to the touch screen, well, it's a touchscreen and it's very responsive. You can go, for example, to settings and all of that. It's very responsive and I like the way it is. Now, the resolution of the screen isn't, of course, one of the best, but I mean, it's good. It does the job great. You've got the buttons also to control the screen. The display in the X7 is surprisingly useful when you get used to it. You instinctively know where everything is and you'll enjoy using it. It displays the rear view camera nicely too. As I said, the resolution could be improved, but it's way better than its Chinese sister manufacturers, such as Chang'an or others. Then coming on right here, we've got your climate control with also a small display right here. So if we turn it on, for example, you can have your displays right there. And of course, it's going to tell you the climate control on the screen and that it's on. Let's just shut that off. And you've got your gear knob right here. We've got an electronic parking brake. Driving modes, Eco, Sport and Normal. We're going to be testing those in our test drive. And then hill descent assist with parking sensors. We've also got a rear view camera. Let's just turn the car on for a second. And I'll show you the rear view camera. There you have it. And it's kind of good. Also, it's not very high resolution, but it does the job great. It tells you where you're going and turning the steering wheel. You've got the blue lines moving away. So there's that. Let's just shut the car. Put it back in park. Four-wheel drive, of course, this is a four-wheel drive car, so you've got your settings for that. Two cup holders, and as on the Cayenne, you've got these handles right here, which I think look good, and also an aluminum, like the ones you have on the steering wheel. Now, coming on to the storage space in the Emgrand X7. First of all, the center console, it's nicely leather wrapped, but it's kind of hard, it's not plush for your elbow. Opening that up, it's quite deep, but it's small. You can't fit a lot of stuff. Maybe small, maybe keys and maybe a phone, and that's it. With an auxiliary input and a 12-volt power outlet. Two cup holders that we saw earlier, and you've got also a storage space right here for your phone. I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of dark. There you have it. So a small storage space right here, and for the passenger side, right there too. Now the door bins are a bit small. You can only fit a small bottle of water on here. And right here to put maybe maps and small books. You have also right here a storage space that's also kind of small. And then coming on to the glove box. The glove box is also not that big. It's your decent size glove box, not the best in the business. So yes, now let's go ahead and check out the trunk. Looking at the size of the trunk, as you can see, it has a decent size. You can put a lot of stuff. Under that, you've got your spare tire with some storage space right here and there if you want to hide some stuff. Also, some storage space here. And overall, it's all flat right here. It's flat. You've got a 12-volt power outlet. And if you want to hold luggages and put it right here, this is relatively flat, so it's kind of cool. Now, getting into the back seat of the X7. Now again, I'm 185 centimeters and this is my driving position. Legroom is pretty good. I put my feet right there. It's very comfortable. And looking at headroom, it's pretty good too. I've got this bit of headroom, which is really good. Now the best thing that I saw on the X7 is this. Look, this area, the cup holders, is so good. We've got the piano black and the aluminum, the brushed aluminum right here with two cup holders. This is my personal favorite. I mean, sitting down right here, it's really comfortable, by the way, and you don't have any hump in the middle, so you can sit 3 people. It's really comfortable. And again, these weird door handles, which I really like. And also at the back, we've got the G for the Geely, which is also cool. We've got some storage space here and there, like right here on the doors. And you've got a 12-volt power outlet with an air vent, one air vent. And also you've got this panoramic sunroof, so when you open that, we can't open the glass to the end, but you can remove this cloth, so it makes it more spacious in here. Now coming on to the exterior of the Geely Emgrand X7. Now Geely says that the X7 is based on a leopard, the design is based on a leopard. I don't know if you can actually see that, but yes, it's based on a wildcat. Then coming on to the front of the Geely, you've got the Geely emblem right here, the gold emblem with the blue accents right here. Now I'm not a big fan of the logo, it's kind of cheap. Now if it were any other logo right here, I would probably like the car more. So this is a big downside, honestly. But the grille looks good. You've got these aluminum spokes right here, the three aluminum bars right here, which look good. It gives it a very maybe expensive feel to the car. And then coming on to your LED headlights that run around right here. And you've got the bi-xenon headlights, which also look good. And you've got the aluminum accents inside. And then coming on to the bottom, we've got aluminum right here. We've got fog lights too. And then overall, the bumper looks sporty. The X7 is a good looking car from the front with the typical elements you see on almost every car. If you look closely, you realize that there's a lot going on the front fascia. The chrome grille mimics the Geely logo and hides behind it even smaller Geely logos. Below that, there's a small air intake for cooling. And I personally like the lower part of the bumper with silver parts accentuating the sporty design of the X7 Sport. Then coming on to the side of the X7, we've got sporty 5-spoke 8-inch alloy wheels, which look good on the X7. Now the roof reminds me a bit of the Evoque. It's kind of similar to that, but I really like this portion right here, the way it curves at the rear. That's a nice touch. The X7 is a composed car with a lot of nice lines on the body. I would prefer to say that the rear is not to everyone's taste. It could be improved for sure. But for the few days of having the car, there was a lot of positive feedback about how the car looks, which made me look at it differently and appreciate its details. It's at night that the Geely looks really good, highlighted by the pretty LED lights. So guys, let's set off in the X7. Let's put it in drive, release the handbrake, and let's go. So we're now rolling. Let's just close up the window. That's a bit of a late chime, but anyways, cruising in the X7. Now first of all, as I said, you have a very high driving position, so you're just basically higher than everything on the road, and I really like that, honestly. But I want to talk about the seats. Now I've been on a longer journey, and the seats feel not that comfortable. I mean, in my back, it kind of aches for long drives. It's not perfect for, you know, cruising for a long time. Then again, I want to talk also about the steering. The steering is very light, and that's maybe the best thing about this X7 is that you don't have to put a lot of effort into turning the steering wheel. It's really just turn it around. It's really good. The turning circle also is pretty impressive. Not the best, of course, because it's quite a big car with a long wheelbase, but it's good. Then cruising on this country streets, there's not a lot of traffic, but as you can see, we have a lot of bumps. Now it doesn't cushion that much, okay, but it's relatively good. I mean, going on road bumps, you don't feel it that much, but it's there. It doesn't cushion it away. You don't feel like you're just walking away without feeling anything. You do feel it. Then again, it's all normal. Now here's this small descent. I'm gonna put the hill descent assist. I turn it on, and slowly I'll be removing the brakes. Okay, now it's working. Now I don't have anything, so it's going down slowly. Now that's cool. Now it gives you that warning right here that it's working, it's doing its job. So yeah, that's pretty good. Now if we have another small hill, I'm gonna try that. So let's just stop, turn it off, then get going. So the hill descent control works smoothly along with the four-wheel drive lock in critical situations. I personally am not a big fan of Nappa leather seats in general because they don't usually offer the most comfort, and my E93 series has those kind of seats, so I feel they can be improved. So guys, closing the window, and the sunroof. I wanted to show you that noise deadening in the X7 isn't the best in the world. You can actually hear that, and especially on the highway. I was driving on the highway and you can hear a lot of that. And maybe it's due to the glass. They don't use that tight glass for the sound deadening, but also because you've got side mirrors which are actually huge. They're very big side mirrors. I don't know why they're that big. They're good for visibility, but not, you know, for the noise. But about visibility, the side visibility is great, and as you can see, the windows are really stretched out, so the B-pillar doesn't annoy you whatsoever. But what's annoying is the rear. Now the rear, you've got this small window. There was a car behind me, a lot of cars behind me. I couldn't see what the car was because I'm sitting high, and then there's not so much visibility at the back. It reminds me a bit of the Evoque, because as you know, this car resembles it a lot. So it reminds me of that car, not that good visibility. But it gets the light really good in the cabin. It's not, you know, claustrophobic cabin. You know, it's a very airy one, especially with the panoramic sunroof. And again, trying it on these not very well maintained roads, it's good. It's good. I'm not gonna blame this car. It's doing it great. Now let's go on these rocks right here. That's good actually. Now it's jumping a bit, but I'm sitting still in the car. That is actually really good. Okay, now look, this was impressive actually. We had a lot of rocks right here, but it just went smoothly around. Now let's talk about the driving modes. Now I'm driving in normal. Let's just open back that up. I'm driving in normal and it feels good, but I'm gonna put it in sport now and see if I can feel any difference with the driving. Geely offers you 3 driving modes: normal, sport, and eco. While I haven't noticed a complete change in steering nor throttle response, it's mainly through gear shifts that the X7 underlines driving modes. Along with the colorful displays that change when driving, it's in sport that you notice the car holding onto gears longer and builds up revs faster than other driving modes such as eco, where fuel economy is always on the mind. So guys, I just parked now to talk calmly with you guys. Now I wanted to say something about the Geely. When I first took delivery of it, I didn't have any expectations of it. In fact, you know, I didn't expect it to be any good SUV. It's just, you know, any Chinese one. I'm sorry I'm saying it bluntly like that, but I want to tell you that I was wrong. Considering that it's not a Chinese car, I was comparing it to Korean or Japanese because maybe that's its market. But with the X7, what the X7 has to offer, I'm honestly really impressed with everything it has. I mean, it's all done to the point that you say, okay, wow, it's doing like the Germans. I mean, my X1, for example, can do that, can do the same thing. And the Geely can do it at a lower price. Now, of course, there's bits and pieces, as I talked about, they're not, of course, top-notch. You feel that it could have been fixed in a way. But for $30,000 in Lebanon, and for a brand new car, I honestly really like it, and I'm gonna miss it when I give it back. I really enjoyed my time with it. After spending the weekend with the Geely Emgrand X7 Sport, I got to know it better, and here's what I think of it. The interior cabin is very much welcoming, and you'll get used to it in no time. I love the layout of the dashboard, reminding me of cars double the price of this. You get a lot of tech, such as digital displays, hill descent and hold control, parking sensors, rear view camera, a panoramic sunroof, LED lights, and the list goes on. My favorite? The ground logo lights. The looks on the X7 are good and surprisingly turn heads. Its dimensions are perfect, not too big and not too small. We can all agree that the LED accents are also very impressive. But it's the way the SUV drives that really impressed me. It ticks all boxes in terms of smoothness and how easy it is to drive. Ride comfort could be refined to match its European rivals. And yes, I say European because Geely can actually rival this market with what it has. So at the end of the day, I honestly advise you that if you're looking for an SUV at under $30,000, there's always a Geely showroom you can visit. And as I told you, the Chinese are way better than you might think. Well done, Geely. So guys, that's it for today. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe. Until then, take care everybody. See you soon.